Hello everybody, CW here. Well, we're going to put these pillars in, and what this is, if you don't know, I got these pillars from Pete's Pillars. He makes a good product, and he makes them for a bunch of different rifles. Now they're not going to be 100% ready to go. You're going to have to do a little bit of work yourself, but it's not difficult, and if you're capable of doing this job, you're certainly capable of fitting these pillars. What they are, basically what you're doing here is the screws that hold your action into your rifle, okay? Your action screws for your bolt action rifle. They're basically pinching the wood. So sometimes you'll have an escutcheon, a piece of metal set into the wood that the screw head can grab onto and really give a good squeeze to. But you're still squeezing wood or plastic or whatever your stock is made out of, nylon or fiberglass or Kevlar or whatever it is. You're still squeezing a material. And some of the materials are pretty good and solid, but none of them are as solid as metal, this being aluminum. So the idea here is, most often, a good solid torque on these screws connecting your stock to your rifle's action are going to give you the best accuracy. And that's because it's going to stop anything from moving. Just like when you bed an action, you put some kind of a composite material in here, and you get a glove fit, a form fit to every nook and cranny of your action into the wood stock. Why does that work? Because it stops movement. It keeps the stock in 100% contact 100% of the time to your action. So when you fire that gun, the action of the stock, the action stays put in the stock, so nothing can move to alter the way your bullet goes down the barrel and impacts the target. All those things impact accuracy. So the more solid you can make your fit to your stock of your action is going to be better. So these pillars are going to go in place of where these screw holes are. They're going to be drilled out and glued into the stock to allow you to get a solid torque, 50, 60, 70, 80 inch-pounds of torque on these screws to screw this action into this stock so it does not move. It can't compress this. Wood can compress. Plastic can compress. So it may be tight in your in your gun room at 70 degrees on a June day when you're setting your rifle up. But what happens when you're in -5 or in 20 degrees when you're out in the deer woods? That, cold contracts, wood contracts, everything gets smaller, even metal contracts in cold. So that 30, 40, 50 foot-pounds that you could possibly do with wood is no longer going to be that much torque when it's cold. So it's going to change. It's going to allow your action to move just a little bit. So all that's going to work negatively on accuracy. So what the pillars do is, like I say, they go into the wood. They get drilled out a larger hole. They get fit in there, and they go in place of the wood right in there. And when you tighten the action screws down, they can't compress. They're going to be like this. They can't compress. So what you'll get is solid, consistent, attainable compression, torque of your screws for your stock to your action. So you're going to get better accuracy. These pillars combined with bedding that we're going to do later are going to make this rifle as accurate as it can be. So we're going to do the pillars today. We got to drill out the wood to accept these pillars, and then we're going to epoxy them in place. I'm going to take you along for the ride, show you how I go about doing it and some of the pitfalls that are encompassed by this. Some of it seems really nerve-wracking or worrisome. This back hole here, this back action screw, is not complete with the wood, so you've got a big danger of chip out, and it will chip out. It's going to chip out. Nothing can be done about it. Matter of fact, there's a little bit of chip out right there now. There's a piece missing right down in there now. If you can look way down in there, right in front of my finger, there's a little bit of wood that's chipped out now. That's not going to matter because it's going to be taken over by this piece of aluminum. And then later down the road, video or two down the road, we're going to glass bed this action. At least the lug and the forward part of this bolt, we're going to glass bed. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole thing or not. We'll see. But at the very least, we're going to do that. And then it will be set for this action to be as good as it can be into this stock. So to do these pillars, we have to drill out the wood to accept these pillars in their place. So we're going to do this on the drill press. I'll show you as much as I can, but the setup is really the key, and you want to make sure that when you drill these holes, you're following that hole perfectly. So if you set your drill press up, you're going to drill at an angle, and it's not good. You want to make sure you're perfectly in line with this drill, with this hole that's already there with your drill. So I put a drill in my press over here that's the same size as this hole. Now we're going to put it in the table. We're going to set it up so that this drill passes through that hole perfectly. The same size. We're not going to drill a hole yet. We're going to set it up so that it aligns perfectly. So it may be as nice as that and it drills a hole, but I'll bet you it don't. You're going to have to tip it up this way. You're going to tip it back this way. You have to do something along those lines. And we're going to have to set that up as a jig so that when we drill this hole, it goes straight and true all the way through evenly. So when this pillar goes in there, it's not crooked. It's going to line up with the hole in your action. And then you got to go back with the correct size drill. Now these pillars are about 1/2 inch. So you want to go just a little bit bigger because you want to have room for your epoxy. If you drill them exactly 1/2 inch, it's going to work, but I find it better to be just a little bit bigger. You can drill them 1/2 inch and then go back in and score the inside like with a Dremel with a burr so that the hole in the outside here stays true 1/2 inch, and you just burr in the inside, making room for epoxy. That's one way to do it. Both sides. You kind of come in here with a burr and your drill and your Dremel tool. Instead of going straight in, you go at an angle, burr. So you're burning a little bit of wood out inside the hole all the way around, and that'll make room for the epoxy. That's one way to do it. I do it with just a little bit bigger hole. This is a 5.1 drill bit, and I've got it labeled here for Boyd's Pillars. It's a 13/64 drill bit. It's just one size bigger than 1/2 inch, and it's what I like to use. So that's what I'm going to use. So sit back, take a look. I'll probably put you in speedy mode for a lot of this because it can get a little boring, and we'll come back and I'll talk to you as we do things. And then pretty much it's just cut the pillars to length once we get the holes done, and then it's epoxy them in and put a little release agent on the action, put the action in the gun, tighten the screws up, and that's it, because that's all there is to do to make these work. And then once the glue dries, we're done. Okay? Stand by.